What's up, fellas? Happy Wednesday. We're doing another story chat with Sergio Paez. And guess what? I'm Sergio. So we're going to be talking about some story tips and tricks as we normally do. Invite you to come along and join us here in the discussion because I got a good topic for today. And this one is a good one because I think it's relevant no matter what time of year, no matter the economic situation, whether you're in an upturn or a downturn. I think it's still relevant because we're going to be talking about getting job leads. That's what it's all about. We've talked in the past on these chats about like skills. We've talked technique. We've talked software, digital stuff. And now I think it's a good idea to talk jobs. And a couple of recent things that came up is I saw a couple of job postings I'll mention to you about, and also some tips. So first off, let me say what's up to everybody. Big shout out to you guys on Instagram. We're beaming to you there. We're also on Facebook and YouTube, and we're streaming to both of those at the same time, which is great. So hey, Jean-Claude, what's up, my friend? How are you? Good to see everybody. I see Chad on there. A good hello to you, my friend, too. All right, so let's get into this. Well, first I should say I want to know what you guys are doing to land jobs, right? Now, okay, you can do this as a hobby. I love storytelling, so I do storytelling all the time. In fact, I was out the other day driving with my wife, and we passed something. We just came up with a story. We're like, oh yeah, we need to do a Western, and we started thinking up a concept, and my brain started working, and that's because I just love this. I love the idea of telling a story and creating something and using your imagination. And that's what it's all about. It really, you want to have fun with this. This is a career that you enjoy doing. It's not something like pulling teeth where it just hurts to actually go through it, right? And it's kind of sad that people have those types of careers. I've never had that experience because my whole life I was battling to get into the entertainment industry because that was the only thing I ever wanted to do, was just to be in the entertainment industry, because I just loved art. I love movies. I love animation. And then, I through many circumstances, hard work, luck, everything, all the above, I'm in it. I'm in the entertainment industry, right? And I want to bring you guys in too. And a lot of you are in there already. Like we're collaborators in this together. But I just love it, and you want to enjoy this career. So you can still do this as a hobby and enjoy that too. But there's this business side that I think is not talked about enough when it comes to the career aspect of storytelling and the entertainment industry. And there's a couple guys that do a really good job of that. And I think it's just not discussed enough. I think there's some kind of like taboo that people say, oh, you're going to be a starving artist, or you shouldn't talk about money. You shouldn't talk about rates. Why not? I think that's really silly. I think I want to talk about this, particularly because when I was coming up and I needed to know what to charge, I had to ask somebody. And like I was, just outright asking friends, like, hey man, how much money do you make? Like, how much should I charge? And, sometimes it was awkward, but after a while, you have enough trusted friends that you can pick that will give you some insider information. So now, we trade those secrets between, my tight friends, and we don't have that kind of uncomfortableness when we're talking about money, because it's all our livelihood. So we've got to survive, we got to eat. And so we want to make sure that we have a good job and we need to do this. So that's all important. So I want to hear what you guys are doing. And then I'm going to give you a couple tips about what I've done in the past, and also some of the things that we discussed with the mentorship guys. I mean, Jean-Claude actually had a couple of good suggestions, which I'm going to share with the group, if you don't mind, about that stuff. And so that's always good things to talk about. Okay. Couple of updates. So guess what? I'll be emailing this out to our mailing list on Storyboard Art. So you guys should get on there if you're not already. We have a job posting that a friend of mine let us know about at Pixar. Pixar is looking for story artists. So for those of you guys who want to apply and you think you're ready, you have a good portfolio together, you gotta go on their website and look for the job postings and apply. Now, one thing about Pixar, because I've worked at Pixar before, and I've actually interviewed many times before, so I've I've worked there, and then I went off to do something else, and I interviewed once again, and I was competing for jobs. So it's a very competitive studio because many people want to work there. That means you have to have a really tight portfolio. And if you don't, then that's what we're here for. We can help get you there. We can show you what to do. In fact, we're going to have a free training coming up, which I mentioned before, but that's going to be coming up in September. We're going to talk about portfolio, specifically drawing and portfolio challenge, and that's going to come up as free training. You guys should check that out. But Pixar is hiring, so look at what the job requirements are. I will point out a couple things. There's always a standard job posting that says you want to have that you need experience in the industry in order to apply. That they're probably looking for 3 to 5 years. It's usually like a standard thing that many of these HR people put in there. And that's okay. That's certainly understandable that they want quality candidates. Now, if you don't have 3 to 5 years of feature work under your belt, I would still encourage you to apply, but you have to have a portfolio that will represent the level of quality that you can deliver as a story artist for a company like Pixar. So keep in mind, you're going to be working with top-notch artists, and you want to make sure that you're being professional all the way through, and that you can show them some quality work. So you'd have story sequences, and you have all these good things to apply to those places. All right. So that's one thing. Go to the website, check out what to do there. And you'll see what you need to do to apply. Now, keep also in mind that some people get upset when they apply to these online applications and job postings. You may not get a response. That's just the way it is, okay? And that's fine. Don't take it personally. It's nothing against you. And you might have excellent work. You might be a really good professional. But for whatever reason, they just do not contact you. Maybe they had a bunch of other candidates they're going to call first. So you never know. And the best way, like I said before, many times, is the best way to apply to a job is really to have an insider connection with somebody who's either working at the studio or that you've met the recruiter before and they know you exist. And in a very professional way, you make that connection, and then you're able to show them your portfolio and your qualifications. Then that's an easier conversation to start, and it helps in you getting a callback. It might help you get an interview, right? And guess what? I've done an interview at Pixar and I didn't get hired. So, and I remember there's another good buddy of mine who was applying at the same time. He got hired, and that's great because he was awesome. He's a great artist, and I don't know why I necessarily didn't get hired. I think, in fact, the cool thing was that I didn't feel so bad because they kept me on file. I went in, I interviewed, like they knew I worked there before and been on a project, so they were looking to ramp up stuff. I had friends on the inside, it's like I knew people. That was the whole thing. But even still, I didn't get chosen, and I was there interviewing, right? So I'm just pointing this out that there is nothing guaranteed, but that you definitely want to go for it, okay? And like I said, you never know. I've had things where I've submitted my portfolio and did not have the connections, but for whatever reason, they liked what they saw in the portfolio, and they gave me a call. So it was like a cold application that I submitted this is for a game company, and I got a call back and I got an interview and I actually got the job. So that was great, which means, you can do it even if you don't have an insider connection. Okay. So it just depends. All right, let me get to some of this stuff and answer some of these questions real quick. I saw one pop up at the beginning. Let me see if I can answer this because I think it's a pretty standard question many people might have. So Earth Art 8 is asking here on Instagram, I need to buy an upgrade of Photoshop, or what software are employers needing us to know? Okay, Photoshop, absolutely. I think you can't go wrong with Photoshop just because it's so versatile doing everything. You can do storyboards. You can do even VR stuff now. You can do, this is a powerful program. So I actually have the whole Adobe suite. One thing is that check out some of the sales and discounts that they offer. I believe this month they're offering a discount for new users. Maybe if you had it before, that doesn't apply, so that's kind of a bummer. But there's also student discounts that you can qualify for if you participate in our storyboard classes. Oh, by the way, making a cameo appearance here is my trusted assistant, Richard, Richard the cat. And he's going to tell us about Photoshop. But no, anyway, you can look up what discounts are offering for the Adobe package. Usually they're good for a year, and and anyway, I think you should know Photoshop. You should have the ability to use it, especially now with like people working remotely. You definitely want to have that ability of just having all the software ready to go. The other one I would recommend, which is not that expensive if you think about it for the subscription service, is Toon Boom. Toon Boom for storyboards is a really powerful program. It's a really solid program, and many studios are looking for Toon Boom, and they ask that you use Toon Boom. All right, Richard, thank you for your input here. Okay, and you can create animatics in Toon Boom, and a lot of studios are asking for that kind of stuff. So that's between Photoshop and Toon Boom. I would say go with Photoshop first because it's so versatile, and Toon Boom second. There are free programs. I would also recommend, if you can't get any of that, you're broke, you don't have any access to those things, go for Autodesk Sketchbook. That's actually a favorite program of mine, just because it's very simple, it's easy to use, you can do storyboards, it has a timeline, and it's free. So look up Autodesk Sketchbook, okay? And then hopefully you guys can give some other tips on that. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks for chiming in there, Chad. Okay, let me pull up some of these questions that I'm seeing bounce out in Facebook and on our live streams here. Oh man, this is awesome. I love it. This is coming from Jean-Claude Delaronde, who's a very talented storyboard artist, by the way. He's working, I know, because he told us the other day, he's working on this really cool live action and horror film. And I can't wait to check out your boards, my friend. I saw your message the other day, and I look forward to seeing that. So I'll get to that. So he's got some really good tips. So he says, post regularly on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, ArtStation, LinkedIn, wherever you can post your stuff on a regular basis. And I'll continue that post here. So out of a job, start sending emails to art directors, film producers. Man, I couldn't say it better myself, and take it from a pro like Jean-Claude here that that's what you should be doing. I highly recommend, to get leads, you have to be active. Don't just wait for the phone to ring, because nobody really knows who you are unless you have a really strong network, unless you've been around the business for many years and people call you. Don't just expect things to happen. And even still, I wouldn't think it's a guarantee, right? You could be, some superstar guy. After a while, if you're not working constantly, people forget you exist. And then you have to make that connection again, send them a Christmas card, do something fun, send them a drawing, like keep up to date with them on Instagram in like a direct message, and people that you want in your network. Okay. That's really important to do. Part of me is I have a little sip of coffee here. Yes. So you hit up a couple cool things here. You can hit up art directors, film producers. Don't forget about those guys. A lot of people say, well, I want to just hit up story supervisors or the big companies. You can hit up directly those directors. Now, again, they may not respond. They might have an assistant, or they might have a production team go through to you, and you may never get a reply. But oftentimes, your stuff does land on their desks, and they'll keep you on file. Because I'll tell you, I don't know how many calls that I've gotten, especially because we've been around, let's say, the internet sphere for a long time. And so people, when they search for storyboards, our stuff will pop up. We have this educational platform for the most part, but people are looking for services, and they've done that stuff before in the past. And so they call us asking for services. I don't know how many times they say, well, I can't find anybody. And, we're happy to provide any references that we can give, but, that you just need to put your stuff out there, because the storytellers are still big in demand. Quality storytellers that know what they're doing are still really in demand. So yes, and this is another, thanks JC for keeping up these tips here. So he's saying you have to keep going. Just try and post some personal stuff that you're doing every 2 to 3 days, every week. It really requires to get leads. This is the modern way of getting leads, right? Before, what you would do is you might actually have flyers or send, go to events and have business cards and stuff like that. Nowadays, it's really all digital. And the way people find you is kind of by chance, is that when the need comes up, they start looking for storyboard artists, right? Or visual storytellers or concept guys. And then they'll do a web search. They'll go on Instagram, whatever pops up on their LinkedIn, because that's the way they're going to search for it. So we're talking freelance people, we're talking indie film, we're talking, just guys looking to fill a need that they have at the moment. Studios work a different way, and I'll explain that in a minute. So then you do want to be on Instagram and Facebook feed and and LinkedIn, posting your stuff. So you have to think about this as it's your brand, as it's your artwork, and put it out there. I know a lot of buddies that I follow just on Instagram because I must admit I'm not the best at being consistent with this. So take advice from these pros that are on here right now to do this kind of stuff, because, and maybe I haven't done it that actively because I haven't necessarily needed to. I book myself in advance for my gigs, and so I keep that going, right? So I make sure that I know where my next meal ticket is coming from. Okay. But if I had to, guess what? You can see my Instagram. In fact, do me a favor, go to Storyboard Art and sign up there. And then my personal Instagram, go to Sergio Paya's Art on Instagram, and please follow me there, like me, whatever, share, do all the cool stuff that people do. But one, I want to connect with you because I want to build my following, and also I want to see what you guys are doing. So do me a favor and let's connect that way. Same thing on LinkedIn and all the other ones. But you got to be active with this stuff, because when they search for it, you're going to pop up. They're going to take a look at what you have to show. You have samples. This is the other tip that I would recommend here, is that everything you do, you design it so that it has a professional focus. And if you do other stuff, like let's say you're into photography, or let's say you like dance, or I don't know, you're a DJ on the weekends or something, that's cool. Don't mix that with your normal professional Instagram or your other posts. I would actually separate the two. I would make sure that you have your, let's say, visual storytelling, storyboard concept feed, if that's what you're doing. Keep that consistent, and don't mix that with personal stuff that would distract from a potential employer coming to see your work. That's not to say you can't have a personal account. If you want to post pictures of, your family or whatever, that's cool. I would actually just start another account. Just make it on a personal level, call it Sergio Personal or whatever, Instagram too, whatever you got to do to just separate it. Because if you're having, if you love taking pictures of birds or flowers or something, and you're mixing that in with your storyboards, you're going to be like, it's just going to be hard to find. It's going to be confusing. Like, what's this guy into? No, I just like the idea of keeping things clean. Okay. Now you can take my advice or not. That's cool. Maybe you guys, maybe you have, your own tricks to doing it. So that's really up to you, but that's my advice on that one. All right. Let's see what else we got. This is a great question. I'm gonna bring this up. So we talked about Pixar and that. So this question came up with Gretchen Morris here, is saying, do they require a certain degree? Now you'll see this in job postings all the time. They'll say in the actual job postings, it will, part of the requirements, normal standard stuff will be 3 to 5 years of feature experience, or I think, I don't know exactly the wording, but it's like mainstream television or feature work, right? Okay, you may not have that, just for some people just starting out. The other one that they'll put in there is a what do they call it? Like a high level degree or a bachelor's degree, university level degree from art education or similar for this particular position. Now, the funny thing about that, now I have a degree. I did go to college, and I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in animation with illustration focus. I have never once dusted off my degree and brought that out and actually showed anybody. So I could tell them I have a PhD I have a doctorate in science or whatever. And what, are they going to believe me? Because I never actually proved to anybody that I've got this degree. I have it sitting there. I even know where it is. It's sitting there collecting dust in my art file because they don't ask for it. Now that might be a requirement on the job posting. But here's the other thing I was going to say. I know many people that never graduated. In fact, I went to school with some of them. They just never finished and got their degree, but they became working professionals. And then I know other guys that never went to school. They went to high school and they never had a college or secondary education degree. And they're directors. They're incredibly talented artists. They worked at Pixar. Like, these are all these guys. In fact, one of the guys there, I know, I know like probably 3 off the top of my head that never had a college education. They went from high school to working in the industry, and they just built up their portfolio, and they're awesome artists. So that degree, you might be competing with other people that have it, but your portfolio is what matters. Your image skills. And I make this argument now that the HR people might debate me on this, but if I'm a story supervisor or director and I'm hiring somebody, I could care less where they went to school. if they don't show me in their portfolio that they can do the work, I don't need them on the job. But if they give me an incredible portfolio, this guy at high school is just drawing rings about around everybody else, and they can really do the story sequences. They have great camera work. They know their staging. They have a really cool style, and you can tell that they have solid drawing. I don't really care where they got their education. They've got it somehow. They learned it some way, and I can use that person because they're thinking, their brain is active, right? That's the kind of thing. So I would encourage you, even if you don't have a formal degree, that you get your training somewhere, right? And that you still apply. Don't let that turn you away from stuff, okay? And actually, you tell us you have a BA in studio art drawing. Well, that's good. That's a Bachelor of Arts. That's enough, and you'll be fine there. Cool. Yeah, I love it. Thanks. I'm going to bring up Chad's comment here. It's mainly about the work. They may have it on there, but they have it on the app. But if you're good enough with your work, whether you have a degree or not, it won't matter. I agree with you there, my friend. Awesome. Cool. Let me hit up some of these questions that we're getting in Instagram feed. Thank you guys for chatting us in. I love this kind of discussion that we're having. Okay. Great question here from CG Guerrero C. All right. I'm a 3D animator, but one of my weakest points is I don't draw. I'm not trying to be an awesome 2D animator or so, but at least I'd like to sketch properly to planning my shots. What would be your recommendation? Excellent question, because obviously I'm biased. I really encourage you to draw and have drawing skills. It's important to communicate your idea, okay? It's about communication and not illustration. That's one of the lines I always say. It doesn't matter how you get your idea across, if it's a sketchy line, if it's rough, if it's dirty, but if you communicate the shot and you communicate the idea, that's enough. And what's important is clarity. Clarity is king. That's another one that we say a lot in story. And that's what's important. So drawing skills are also important, and you should be able to draw at a high level because it will facilitate your communication. If you know your perspective, your anatomy, your composition, your shading, everything that you technically can do with art skills, it will help you draw a better storyboard, okay? But that does not mean you have to be Rembrandt to draw a storyboard. You can do it even with lesser drawing skills. So one of the things I would recommend is that you just carry your sketchbook around with you all the time and you practice when you can. Practice makes perfect. There is no shortcut other than doing the work. You have to practice. You have to practice. That's the only way you get better. A lot of people have this myth that I want to bust for people. They say, well, you're just born with it. And then, oh, well, he's really good at drawing because, man, he was born with that drawing gene. Well, I didn't get that drawing gene. I had to work for it, okay? And everybody's got to work for it. That's the news I want to explain to you guys, that you have to work for it. And if you draw often and you draw all the time, you will get better, okay? Think about it. If you practice dance and you never knew how to draw or you never knew how to dance, okay? Now I'm confusing my terms. The metaphor here is if you've never done it before and you're practicing dance, you're going to be better at it than if you hadn't done it at all. You have to practice. That's the same thing with drawing, same thing with art, same thing with anything, right? Driving, sports, cooking, whatever. This is a mental discipline that you have to practice. So the recommendations here, and there's a lot of easy ways to do it. I'll give you a couple easy ones. Go to Bodies in Motion. .photo. That's a really cool website. A good friend of ours that we've interviewed before, Scott Eaton, who's a masterful anatomist and great photographer and 3D artist, has built an amazing website for drawing. And go check that out. You're going to see a lot of really cool, awesome models there that you can draw from. And they have a free version, and you can get, if you pay, you get a lot of really great benefits from that website. It's really affordable, really good. Check that out. So that's a really good suggestion there. Okay, anybody else have any suggestions? Please let us know. But just drawing tips in general is man, just take your sketchbook, just draw all the time, whenever you can. Have fun with it. Fall in love again with drawing. If you have an iPad and iPad Pro and you can be on the train or you're traveling or you're sketching right before bed, do that. That's cool. That's all you have to do. Save your stuff and just keep moving your hand-eye coordination. That's all you got to be doing. This is a really good question. I'm gonna say this from Instagram here, and let me pull off your question here, Chad, if I could find it. And and I can't find it now. Well, let me just say the question. We'll figure out how to get the screen working. Pierce Horvath here is asking, any sites to find live action story jobs? Okay, I've got a couple suggestions on that one. The first one would be go to the Directors Guild of America, sign up for them. Go to the Visual Effects Society, sign up for those guys. Go to the Animation Society, which is a CIFA. I forgot what exactly that stands for, but Animation Society of America, I don't remember. Go to the Animation Guild, okay, and sign up for them. And yes, even though they're animation and stuff, live action jobs will mix because you might get VFX jobs that go back and forth. Certainly the Producers Guild of America, the Directors Guild of America, and the Visual Effects Society are places that you want to find live action jobs. You can also go to the Art Directors Guild in LA, which is the union for art directors and story artists. And there is a way to get in the union. It's a little bit of an explanation. If I remember correctly, I'm actually not in the union. For those of you guys who are, let us know your tips on how to do it. But you have to rack up, if I remember correctly, it's 30 days consecutive work on either commercial jobs or a union gig. And you can get grandfathered in, and there's all ways to do it. But it's easier now than it has been before. So you can do that. Then once you're in the union, you can post for jobs, and there's other ways to do that as well. But if anybody else has some tips with live action stuff, that's actually a really good idea that we should share with each other. The other one is Mandy.com, I believe, is a kind of a film-centric job posting site. And then the other one are Facebook groups. I would get on as many of the storyboard related or filmmaking related Facebook groups. And the cool thing is, if you go to the Directors Guild of America or the Producers Guild of America, they're all dealing with directors and producers. You're going to be one of the few visual storytelling guys. I shouldn't tell that secret because now we're going to get flooded with storyboard artists on there. But it's all good. There's no reason why we shouldn't do this. And you might be one of the minority there, which is actually good because you're going to get some eyeballs on your work. So that's a really smart way to do it. Okay. Wow. Lots of activity in the conversation here. Let me bring this one up from Davin. So I often hear that I should make my portfolio specific to the job I'm applying to. But recently, for example, Lucasfilm and Netflix recently had open storyboard positions, but I couldn't find anything about what types of projects they were for or what style of boards they were looking for. I really want to work at Lucasfilm, but I'm not sure how to make my portfolio the most appealing to them. Well, my friend, you've come to the right place. I've done a lot of work for Lucasfilm. And I can tell you what to do. I'll tell you guys what it's about. First of all, if you have no information about what the company's doing, maybe they're a brand new company like Netflix. For a while back, they hadn't done anything in animation. So how do you actually find out what they need? That's where you got to put your ears to the ground and see who's actually in your network that can solve that question for you. Ask out what style of film they're working, that they're going to do. Is it comedic? Is it more like American animation, or is it more like European or Japanese animation? There's different styles there too. Is it action-based? Is it comedy-based? Those things will clue you into what you need to do. So Lucasfilm, you can take a wild guess. They're probably doing Star Wars, right? Most of the stuff that they've done in the last, I think, almost decade and a half, or probably 2 decades, has been almost exclusively Star Wars content. So you can make a really big argument there that what you should be doing is realistic, action-based storyboards that would show off your skills. Now, for Lucasfilm in particular, if you want to get into Lucas Animation that does Rebels, Clone Wars, Resistance Project, now the upcoming Clone Wars Bad Batch that's coming out pretty soon. If you want to get in there, what you need to do is have really strong filmmaking and compositional skills and show that you understand your camera work, your staging, and that you have your own style when it comes to understanding how to do a dialogue scene and how to do an action scene. You're definitely gonna have to do a lot of action, so you should understand how to do that. That for Lucasfilm, you're gonna do sword fights, which are essentially lightsaber battles, and you're also gonna have to do spaceships and airplane fights, so dog fights, right? Because spaceships in Star Wars fly like World War II airplanes, so dogfight battles like that. That's the way. If if you really pay attention, that's the way the starfighters fight, okay? X-Wings and everything else. So those are the examples that you want to put in. Now you can also put you can also create an animatic and a story reel that has examples of previs, which is something that Lucasfilm does a lot of. So you're going to want to show that you understand 3D. You know how to use Maya, you know how to use Blender, you know how to use maybe 3D Max, maybe Unreal Engine, maybe Unity. All of these things that you want to get under your belt and show that you can do that. Because recently what they've asked for the story guys is they want 3D story and they want previs. So you want to know how to do that. And all the filmmaking rules apply in understanding story, composition, and dialogue and all that good stuff. So that's one way to apply for Lucasfilm. Yeah, all right. Great conversation here. This is let me bring this comment up here if you don't mind, Melody. So you're saying here, I applied to Rooster Teeth multiple times and even been contacted by a recruiter who dropped off the radar. Sorry about that. I thought I was done with them, but the storyboard supervisor contacted me directly and asked me to work on Rooster Teeth. What a stroke of luck. Congratulations, Melody. See, that's an example of what happens in the industry. You might turn something in, you may never hear anything back. And then months later, in fact, even years later, you actually get a phone call from these people and they say, well, I have your portfolio on my desk. You might be, wow, what from when? Oh, that, looks like here is from September 2012. Okay, great. Well, awesome. I got more stuff to show. You want me to give you an updated thing? So that's just an example of what happens. People that are good, that have good quality work, and that have shown well to directors, they want to keep them tight. And so they'll keep them on file. That is something really, really common that happens there. All right. So cool. Good stuff. That's all really, really good tips. Let me get to the last couple ones here before we sign off and see what we're doing here on Instagram. Yeah, thanks, Chad, for those great tips. Yeah, it's really important to do your research when you're applying for these jobs, because just like Devin was talking about before, you do want to tailor your storyboard portfolio to the company that you're applying to. I don't think I made enough emphasis on that in answering your question, because you're not going to show comedy boards to a Lucasfilm, and you're not necessarily going to show crazy realistic action boards to guys at Pixar, because the content that they're going to create is nothing close to that. So make sure that it's something relevant to what they're going to be doing. And you do want to adjust your portfolio. You can have examples of many things in there, but you want to front load and make sure it's very tailored in your portfolio to the specific job that you are applying for. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense, right? All right, fellas, I think this is probably a good place to end it. If you have any more questions about job leads, about applying to studios, about designing your portfolio, go ahead and type those questions in. Even after the fact, we'll get those, and maybe on another live stream we can answer them for you. Also, by the way, just to let you guys know, Lightbox Expo is coming up. I'd like to give these reminders. It's coming up on September 11th through 13th. We're going to be sponsoring a lot of events that weekend. And our Story Artist Mentorship Program is going to be opening up in September. I'm really excited about that. So if you guys are interested in learning all of these things, we got a bunch of mentorship alumni that come on these chats. And it's wonderful to see how people progress, because the networking thing is really good, really strong. And we guide you through that so that you have a strong portfolio. And I'm one of the mentors on there, and we have a special guest instructor this year, which I'm really excited to announce pretty soon. So we'll let you know about that. And lastly, we are sponsoring a drawing and portfolio challenge training that's coming up before Lightbox, so you get your stuff ready for Lightbox as well. So those are my announcements for the week, and we'll talk more next week about all of that. All right, my friends, thank you for joining me. Great discussion this time, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, take care. See ya.